Hi guys, quick update on the Zcar K20 Mini. So I've done a few little jobs that we'll go over, but the main purpose of this video is doing an engine flush / review of Carplan engine flushing oil. So I'll show you the quick bits that I'm up to on the car and then we'll get on with the engine flush. So where we're up to with the car? Well, I've been messing around with the bonnet pins. Anyone who's watched my previous videos will know I had some mither and essentially the bolts, these were too high, so they needed, even at full wound up, they were too high. So obviously I need to then sink them down further so then they can operate. So what I've done is made a little top hat thing. Let me show you what I've made. I've made these little things here that they will drop into. Try and do that with one hand. And then they go, that's actually that side. That drops into there. So that's my solution. I'm hoping I won't need to do it for the front too, but we'll see. Few little other jobs. I've put the door cards back on and I bolted the battery down properly so it's not just sat there. I've sorted out the air filter and stuff because it was just not melted properly. And then most recent job, I've removed, let me get you in here, the oil pressure sensor for the ETB dash, and this T7 design block back there, which is quite difficult to see, and that right in there, that is a Bosch fluid and temperature sensor, so it's a 2-in-1. And that's specially designed to fit with this silver thing, which is an oil cooler donut, factory fitted. So that stacks on there, oil filter, so I'll go and get temperature and oil pressure. Behind that, tuck that in, or down below, I've now fitted a tow hook. Quite hard to see, but I've welded a bracket on under there, bolted that to it. So functional, but also think it looks fairly cool as well. As part of fitting the oil sandwich plate, obviously I've dropped the oil, and look at that lovely soup. Again, anyone who's watched my other videos will know that I accidentally routed one of the coolant lines into the block and stupidly filled the engine block with coolant. So drained all that, put fresh oil in. It's been started a few times on its base map, and obviously that oil is the remnants of what was left in the block. So now I'm going to do a flush. The engine's currently empty of oil. I'm going to give this stuff a go and then put some fresh oil in it. So new filter to flush, and then I'm going to put new filter and oil in. So I'm going to follow the instructions on there. Something about let it idle for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, drain it, fit a new filter and give that a go. So I can't follow the instructions to the T because I've already emptied the engine and it's cold. So give it a go. New filter, first job. Anyone knows cars you only ever do oil filters up hand tight. Little funnel. So I'm not one for normally reading the instructions, but this says fill it up to 3/4 of the normal oil capacity. Google tells me K20 is anywhere between 4.5 to 5 litres. So 4.75, that's basically like 3 litres. So I don't have a jug, I'm going to guesstimate. This is a really strange clear liquid. Okay, easily done. Found a oil container with a marking on it. Annoyingly, this doesn't have any. So if I tip a litre in there, then I know this is 4.5. There's 3.5 gone in the engine. Okay, there's a litre in there. Let me just show you the consistency of this stuff. It says it's a flushing oil, low viscosity. So slightly off clear, just for reference when it comes out, we'll gauge what colour it is. Okay. Feels greasy like oil, but almost feels a bit sticky. But we'll run it up to temperature for about 20 minutes and see what happens. Alright, so double check my maths. 75% of 4.75 litres is essentially 3.5. So it's got 3.5 in it, but excuse me, I'm not quite sure if I'm comfortable with running the engine with that little sort of amount of oil / lubricant in it. So I'm going to chuck some more in, go against the instructions, and check the dipstick just to check that there is some registering. A little bit more. Right, so that's basically 4 litres now, so still quite a bit short of what it would have in oil. So I'm happy with that. I know it's got a sufficient amount of oil in it. First problem encountered. So turn the camera off, but I'll let it idle for a few minutes. Of course it's leaking oil. So I've whipped out the sandwich plate thing. So check the O-ring there, it's fine. Realised in the process of removing the old bolt, I've lost the O-ring that goes between that and the block. So I'm assuming it's in there. So I'm going fishing. Good thing about the electric water pump, that clicks, the electric water pump regulates the speed of the coolant, and then when it reaches 90 degrees Celsius, the fan kicks in. But the beauty of that is now, the engine's off, the ignition is on, fan is still running, the water pump is still running. So that's still sending water around the engine. You can see from the slight, well, you can't see, but that's still pumping water around the engine, cooling it down. Fan's still on. As soon as that drops below 90, that fan will kick off. So it shouldn't have any issues with overheating. Even when the car's turned off, it will gradually come back down to temperature rather than just sitting baking hot. So that was 10 minutes. I got a bit worried. I didn't want to, it was idling really high for some reason. So I didn't want to leave it revving its nuts off with that crappy thin oil in it. So I called it at 10 minutes. I'll drop it in a minute, we'll see what it looks like. It was the O-ring, by the way. I fished it out of the bucket. That was what had come out just from removing the oil filter to fix the leak. So not too different to that, which is a bit worrying. So I'll tip that in now, I'll clean this out. So we got a clean, fresh reference. But it looks like there's some crap in there as well. That was clean. Let's have a look then. Clean bucket, so we'll know what's what. It took about 10 minutes for the fan to go off. I could feel the water pump going around. This might be too hot to do, to be honest. I might have to leave it half an hour or so. Start with the oil filter. I've got my safety crocs on. Gonna let it cool another 5 and then drop it out the sump because it's burning. Righto, oil's drained, new filter's on. So that was first drain, and this is the car lube flushing oil. So that went in perfectly clear with maybe a very fraction bit of opaqueness, as you've seen. Side by side, see it's clearly got a darker tinge to it. This is a lot more sort of emulsified oil and water. That still is, but considering it was perfectly clear, it has got a darker tinge, so it probably has done a small degree of cleaning, but there also probably isn't a lot to clean. This is a low mileage Honda K20 engine. So I'm just going to drop that oil into there and see if we get any particles in the bottom. I mean, there is some particles in there. well, not some, there's quite clearly particles in there. So it must have, it's flushed out some stuff. I don't have one of them tools that cuts open the oil filter, but it would be interesting to know what that's picked up. But unless I cut it open or have a look, I'm not going to know. Was it worthwhile doing? I'm not sure, but there was water deposits in the engine, so it needed flushing to some degree. So yes, it probably was worth doing. Car's loaded up now, ready to go to Paul West at TPW Engineering. Not too long for me, only about an hour, so car's looking good. Bonnet's finally on, mounted well. I've put the firewall back in. Can't see that. And I've got a Perspex cover that goes over the engine, so that's back in as well, and the rear window.